Okay, everybody, we are almost starting exactly on time. And there actually is a face here. How are you? Thanks, everybody, I get more and more people who are joining me. They're not joining me for a long time, but I'm happy that I see more and more people joining me. This is Dr. Annette Feravich, and I am actually with Healthy Mind, Body, Spirit. And you can find that on the internet at www.healthymindbodyspirit.net, where I have all kinds of videos out there about all kinds of things about your health, keeping your mind healthy, your body healthy, and your spirit healthy. But I'm doing the most important work that I can do right here in the classroom. And this is the spiritual classroom, and I'm the teacher, and I am enjoying myself tremendously because it is giving me a real opportunity to learn a lot of things as I begin to bring them to you. As a teacher, I'm, a perpetual student as well, a professional student, however you want to say it, right? I absolutely am and absolutely love that. And so even though starting out in these classrooms, I found material that I'm familiar with and have presented over and over and over again in many different ways to many different ages in many different classrooms, I am still discovering, right? I'm still discovering things. And so the discovery today is about, and you can see how classic this is, right? So today we're looking at Robber's Cave. I can't remember what I had over there. Oh, Broaden and Build. We're doing Broaden and Build, but I needed to put up Robber's Cave so that we see just a little bit of a redirection here, because it is so astronomically important to what I have been finding out. So look here. I presented this in our class yesterday. I did. And so I said I would get the book and I would find out more about the book for you, right? And so here it is. And I'm also presenting this a philosophical class, but I think that we're a little bit ahead on that. I can't remember exactly which class, but I'm almost positive it was this class that I said I was going to look at the book and read the book. And it's very interesting to me. So other things as well, right? So spirit-led lives, whatever. So I go and I find the book right after all my classes. I didn't want to look for it in between this one and the philosophical class because I thought I'd get lost. So I didn't. I looked at it after the philosophical class. And then I started reading. So, not a lot, but you can see where the highlights are. Nope, that's it. That's all I got. Not a lot. I had to prepare for today's class. There we go. There was more there. And then the pictures, and then after the pictures, and then that's it. I'm looking at the data here because it's the first, again, what I usually do is all of a sudden I get stopped by something I didn't see before and something I want to look at and something I want to learn about. This is illegal. What they did here is criminal, and there needs to be a criminal investigation going on here. And what I also see going on is such a passing of the buck. It's incredible. So here, University of Oklahoma, but these people aren't from University of Oklahoma. They literally transported these kids. Without their parents' knowledge. It had to be. Now, I have done very little investigation on this. I report what I normally report. But what I found is that on And there's a Gina Perry who has got a 2013 video out on Milgram's obedience study. And she has got a 2019 book out called The Lost Boys on this. Now, I've read some background on what she was producing, but I haven't read her book. So from what I understand from the interviews and stuff, it just seems very, just touching the surface. From the interviews, the way that she sounded, she was just touching the surface. However, there was some bait in there that suggests that her book has got data that goes well beyond the surface. But there's always these comments that, again, we learn to read between the lines. That's part of this, is learning to read between the lines. And so she made a comment that was that Milgram's study on obedience, Stanley Milgram's study on obedience, was worse than this study. I've never thought that about Milgram's study. Milgram's study used adult men and described the data, and the methodology was very rigorous and was described in a rigorous way. So I can't imagine that they were debriefed at the end. They asked about psychological, fitness after the study was done. They asked those people in Stanley Milgram's study about their psychological fitness, and continued to check back and report on through the years the psychological fitness of those people in Milgram's study. Well, it's clear here. I'm sure Gina Perry reports it because it's so clear here that these people were not even debriefed. Well, what does that mean? And this is the thing about the spiritual classroom, that sometimes we get into these things that are so scientific. We have to. This is an atrocity. This is a human atrocity. And it was on the heels of the Ottoman Empire. Mustafa Sherif was, it sounds like, exiled from Turkey, which was in the losing the power of the Ottoman Empire. Do not know history that well. I'm just repeating the things I've recently read, which are slow to sink in sometimes, right? Sometimes it's hard to understand things I haven't really understood, really. Like I know the Ottoman Empire, and now I put it together with Turkey. I know in the beginning there was only few that had land. So, we were much more succinct in our, much less divided in our literal race and ethnicity, right? So we were much less divided there. So Mustafa Sherif is coming from Turkey at a time where the Ottoman Empire is being destroyed. I'm assuming there's ideology here that has to do with treating humans like they are animals. Certain people treating certain people as if they are animals. I don't know. And that culture, that empire, who would have been thought of as the peasant? I don't know. Some of you know, if you're a historian or love history, that would be someplace where you might want to do an investigation, quite a deep dive into that. Well, it would be a deep dive for me, maybe not for you, a deep dive. Maybe you know enough about it, right? But so this is roots in the Ottoman Empire and Turkey, which is where Mustafa Sherif came from. Carolyn Sherif is, I think about the names, right? These individuals were also so specific for more of our spiritual journey here. Again, I just read up on it after our class yesterday, and here I am 24 hours later after teaching, since 8 o'clock this morning. So I had this window of investigation that was really a small window, a small time to investigate this. But what was I going to say about that? So Ottoman Empire, Sherif, Carolyn Sherif, names. There we go. So I'm thinking about names, right? And where these people are coming and, all this kind of stuff. And what I find out, the very first investigation that I did was that they were psychologists who studied words and more specifically studied how to turn a phrase. Those are my words, right? So propaganda, advertising, those kinds of things, but more specifically words. And in fact, I came across something that I don't have right now because I didn't think it was that important, but literally a list of words that were basically essential words. And so I'm quite certain that these words that they are limiting our language to and using as propaganda have something to do spiritually with a fight against the word, right? The word. Remember, we're all being judged individually, and God is the only one who knows our heart, right? So we can't be speaking in blanket terms, no matter what we're talking about. No matter if we're talking about Ottoman Empire and the descendants of the Ottoman Empire, if we're talking about, descendants of, Putin, or who Putin is a descendant from. We can't, or as you all know and are probably ready for me to say, or the same thing with the descendants of the Jews, the descendants of the Germans, the descendants of Hitler, which likely is a Jewish descendant, right? Hitler is likely a Jewish descendant. We've all known that with the brown eyes and the brown hair. So I don't know. Who even knows? Did Hitler do that stuff? Or maybe Hitler was just a figurehead, because that's the same thing I'm saying here. University of Oklahoma, there's no way in the world that these Harvard, Yale, arrogant, whatever, fill in the, the phrase. I would use something very extreme. You probably wouldn't, since you're here in the spiritual classroom. I would. I still would. As a cover up, right? As a cover for them. But right here, interestingly enough, this is the boldness. This is the boldness of this group. So also here, again, passing the buck. So passing the buck to the University of Oklahoma, clearly, but also giving us an idea that they transported those kids. They likely transported those kids without parents' knowledge. I can't even breathe sometimes when I think about that. I couldn't even breathe. And if I had found out I don't even know how long after the fact, because as I started to say, they were not debriefed. So in Gina Perry's book, she talks about, I've only read a synopsis of it, that's all, an interview with her, that's all. That she talks about, that she interviews these people that were there in this, the kids that were involved, and they never, and this book was published in 2019, not this book, Gina Perry's The Lost Boys, published in 2019. So she's interviewing them for a book that was published in 2019, and they are telling her that they didn't ever know it was an experiment in 2019. This was published in 1961. And at that time, the funding came from the Rockefeller Foundation. Well, just imagine. They're selling this study as a study in trying to learn about conflict resolution, basically. They came to the very wrong conclusions that conflict is a resource problem. We know in psychology it is not a resource issue. Conflict does not have to do with resources. We have found that out in psychology over and over again. So all kinds of unbelievable falsifying, but that is just way too weak of a word. I keep using the word atrocity, but I've overused that word. Can we have some more vocabulary? Apparently not from these people. But the Rockefeller Foundation, now also imagine, so here the Rockefeller Foundation gave them $38,000, which doesn't sound like a lot of money, but in this day it said that this would be, and this is this was in the interview that I read, I think it would be something like $300,000. I've got to get this other book, Groups in Harmony and Tension by Harper. So Harper is a book, is a publisher. So that's a book. That's not an article. So Groups in Harmony and Tension. I need to read that because everywhere in here it says that, and I'm sorry I'm doing a deep dive, but you have to appreciate what they did to these boys. I showed you the video. So just imagine now that was without parents' knowledge. I'm reading about injuries in here. I just can't believe this. And it says over and over again that the details are in Groups in Harmony and Tension. So this is a book. So I'm going to be looking up that book to see if they spell out more of the details here, or if all those details have been hidden from our eyes. These reports are somewhere, because this arrogant, and I'm going to say it, I'm sorry, in the spiritual classroom, this arrogant MFer, he has that data. He is in love with that data. They have that data. That data still exists. But talk about pulling something else down as well. Rockefeller Foundation, right? And where are the Rockefellers? Where are the Kennedys? Where are the descendants of, I don't know. Were they heroes? I don't know if they were. I have no idea, right? I don't have any idea. I did look up some information, and it sounds like Rockefeller, the guy, the dad, was just interested in, business, but the mother was a philanthropist. Okay. So I don't know, but, so giving the equivalent today of over $300,000. So significant amount of money, not millions of dollars, right? By any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know if I just read it one time, and I read it in the interview, so I don't know how accurate. Again, remember what I'm saying. It's a collection of information that I got since last night, and I started class at 8 o'clock this morning. So I did it the deepest dive I could while also preparing for the class this morning. I had to prepare as well. But what was I going to say about reading here in this? Conversations were recorded by a hidden tape. Conversations were recorded by a hidden tape recorder at some choice. See, and even that. Look at this. I mean, look at this. How is this a published book, right? How is this a published book? Look at the type over here. I don't know. And I also don't know. I'm so curious to find out, since he was a wordsmith and propaganda, right? A wordsmith and propaganda. What's up with these words? So, okay, note on collection of data. But also look at like just words are underlined for what seems to be no apparent reason. Nor primarily, nor primarily, not primarily. Why are those words underlined? And what I started to say in the philosophical class is that then you couldn't hear me because I didn't have the volume off, was about that chanting that was going on in the beginning of that video. And I also said the way the boys were dressed, and it was suspect that they were doing these unbelievably hard tasks of fixing the water tank. And what about the water? And which I always say, lots of these things, they say, oh, it's like the saying, oh, it was something in the water. What? I want to know. I want my water tested, I don't know, every 6 months. I want to know what's in the water. I said this about Detroit. I've said it before. What's in the water? What is in the water, right? And Flint, they did it, and they did it above ground because what? Because they could pass the buck. They could stupefy the people, right? And pass the buck. What's in the water? Somebody needs to do a deep dive investigation on what is in the water, because you're talking about water that is our largest freshwater bodies that we have on the planet. So somebody better pay attention to what they're doing to our freshwater bodies, right? Look, see, isolation. Why is that underlined? So again, why is atypical? From atypical personal backgrounds or previously existing relationships. All right, these are supposed to be Protestant middle class boys. And again, what I have read here is just incredible to me. And the lack of data collection on what they're saying and how much I have to read between the lines. So why am I saying this in the spiritual classroom? Well, number one, because I was presenting this and discovering it as I was presenting it in the philosophical classroom last Thursday, and then again on Tuesday in this classroom. But I kept moving on, and I said I was going to look into this. I mean, listen to this. Matching was carried out in terms of certain personality characteristics of the boys. Okay, well, where's the measurement of the personality characteristics? Where is that measure where they were measuring personality characteristics? Nowhere to be found. So that's a big fat lie. That's a big fat lie. They were not matching these boys on personality characteristics. But I'm going to read on. Considered in their order of relevance for interaction in the camp situation, they were, so they are listing the personality characteristics that were measured. Height, weight, sports ability in general, and sports skill, that's special, popularity in neighborhood and school groups, other skills relating to camp such as musical and skit skills, cooking ability, etc., swimming, and previous camp experience. That sounds like all physical characteristics. And what were the physical characteristics that they were looking at? They were looking at physical characteristics that represented strength, masculinity, and physical characteristics that represented femininity. And then were they matching a masculine boy with the masculine boy? Do you suppose they were matching a masculine boy with a masculine boy? We're wondering how we got such chaotic sexual identity. Somebody needs to look into and do a deep dive into these people. And I didn't read what I was going to read to you. So this is wonderful to me. I think this is wonderful. So it says, however, this is written by Muzaffar Sherif himself. All right, right there. All right, so there's two prefaces here. This preface was written in 1961. This preface, 1954. All right, so the original study was done in 1954. Well, this original study, Robber's Cave. But apparently there was a previous study and a big fire before Robber's Cave. And they had similar names. They were Python and something else. It's so strange to me that why wasn't this taught to me? Why wasn't this taught to me? I went to Wayne State. I got a great education in psychology. I learned, and Dr. Alexander went into great detail about Robber's Cave. He was a professor there at Wayne State that in our undergraduate classes that we had in social psychology would spend a full 3-hour class on one study, and would do this at least a 3-hour class, maybe even more, with notes and notes and notes on the study, right? So 3 hours learning about one study, Robber's Cave. You can see I might spend 3 hours on it too. I don't even know, maybe. So you could see, valuable. And I didn't know any of this, and I didn't learn any of this. Now, let me also say one more thing to you, and that's this. This is so, you want mysteries? Holy moly, cajoli. I don't even know what that means. Never even used that phrase before. But you talk about weird coincidences. So when I first started at Wayne State, again, Dr. Alexander never teaching any of this stuff to me, but still this whole, mystery going on here, still all this information, but none of this was taught to me. When I first started at Wayne State, which was in 1998, I don't remember, something like that. Maybe it was a little bit before that. It probably was a little bit before that. I think that's when I started my PhD, was in 1998. So I went there for undergraduate school. But when I first started for my PhD, so that's actually 1998, I was told that Dr. Anderson, Dr. Lynn Anderson, I don't know if this person is a woman or a man. I assumed it was a man, but I get the feeling it could have been a woman. I'm not sure. And it could have been somebody who was trans as well. I don't know. Transitioning, have right gender identity issues. I don't know. Because all of this stuff keeps coming. But I had the opportunity through Dr. Patricia Seipel, to pick out any of the books that I wanted to from Dr. Anderson's collection. And she gave me first choice of anything I wanted. And I didn't want to be a pig because I was so embarrassed at how much I took. But I have shelves filled with Dr. Anderson's books. And so this is, and Dr. Anderson, when I came on board, was killed in a tragic, unexpected car accident on icy roads with an unexpected storm. So it was an unexpected storm. I remember, I knew the storm, so they're telling me, right? So they're telling me they had just recently lost their friend and colleague, and they were offering me all of Lynn Anderson's books. So in Lynn Anderson's books from Wayne State, I am getting this book. This is one of the books. I also got Stanley Milgram's first the published writings that were in the book that were not allowed to be published in scientific journals at first and came later on in the scientific journals. So you can see Lynn Anderson's name is right there. And in many of my old books with the oldest studies is Lynn Anderson's name. Now I've been looking, and this is where spirit comes in. I don't understand how this all works. I really don't. But I've been looking for several weeks, about a month, for not a month, several weeks for the original Hitler's PBS special documentary. And I got PBS. I cannot find it anywhere. I maybe I could have purchased it. I don't even know if I saw it to purchase, but I was looking, I'm like, this doesn't even look like anyone even knows anything about it. What's the deal here? So yesterday in this search, the idea comes to me, right? So after I get off this program and I say, I'm going to look for this book and start reading some of this book. So that was as much as I got to read, right? I'm going to put it together for the philosophical classroom, maybe for this one, because we haven't gotten to our topic where I wanted to go with this because of this book, right? All right, let me back up because here, drum roll, please. I just want a slow build to this, all right? So I have been looking for this PBS tape, and now maybe that's a giveaway, right? This PBS tape for, so at least a couple weeks. And what do I find? I also tried to get a VHS player, which I don't have. So I haven't seen any of these videos. I don't know what's on these videos. And oh, to my heart, oh my gosh, in my heart, I know that there were other videos that I didn't grab. I know there were other videos. I'm almost sure there were other videos I didn't grab. I don't know what's on these tapes. I don't know what's on these tapes, but I have a feeling I might have some original video. I don't know. Not of Hitler. I only have 4 tapes from Lynn Anderson, who mysteriously died in a car accident, and this probably was in 1998. Carl Jung? I don't know. So what was Carl Jung doing? I don't know. I don't know. Somebody knows I have these tapes. I haven't watched them. Somebody knows what's on these tapes. Somebody knows what's on these tapes. I have said in my mystery series that this is tied to Wayne State. And now I have all these tapes. Not every tape. I wish I had every tape. I don't know. This is the first time I'm reading this right here. This is the first time I'm reading this. Oh my gosh. Okay. What is it? What does it say? Psychoactive drugs, marijuana, its effects on mind and body, 30 minutes, 1991 copyright. I need to get a VHS. Look at what I'm finding. Holy smokes. Right in front of you. Right in front of you, I pulled that out. I have other ones here. I thought I had one more. Okay, here's one. Now, I did pull this one out. Oh, maybe I didn't. Because I can't get it out. Wait. That's just my fingers. Sorry. Yeah. Ready for this? I haven't seen these. Ready for this? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I'm going to find out. I'm going to do reading. And I hope the library has a VHS tape player and you're going to know where I am. Cross your fingers. I ordered one and I didn't get it. I ordered one, they sent one, and it was broke. You know somebody's been doing this. But you also know who's winning this. I've said it, I've said it, I've said it. And did I tell you the last one? So did I tell you that I have it? It says PBS Hitler. That's what it says. I'll let you know. Okay, so wow. I have to go get another video too. I don't have very many of these VHS tapes, but since all of this has really been such an unbelievable mystery, right? And I know that I have my hands on the tapes that I'm supposed to have my hands on because that's the way that God works. I know he works that way. So if there were another tape out there that I didn't get, I'm not supposed to have it. But I just wonder how many people know that I have these tapes, because it seems to me that there are, I'll go this way, that there are a lot of people who know I have these tapes or are expecting I have these tapes. You know, especially that one. Don't think I haven't figured out what's going on here, at least to some degree. But don't you see how my discovery in the Robbers Cave, about the Robbers Cave and what they did there at Robbers Cave, and the fact that once again, all of these studies are outcomes of what Hitler was doing, right? All of these are social psychological outcomes of what Hitler was doing. And by the way, I would argue whether or not it was really Hitler, since we have, and I'm not trying to protect anybody, right? I have no, you might think differently. I have no vested interest in this. I am Dr. Annette Feravich, the teacher in the classroom. That's who I am, right? That's who I am. But these studies are outcomes of what we learned in World War II after we took from Nazi Germany the scientists back here to the United States, right? So, and you know, I do think that there are people who know that I have this and I've said, and are protecting me, but this is on a human level as well as a spiritual level, right? All of these things can't come together. The fact that that they've had 4 of my hard drives and couldn't find anything. So my clean slate is 57 years old. Not that I'm perfect by any means, but my slate for the fingers that have been pointed at me over the last almost year now, it's come up clean, right? And that's part of the problem. So, but that's the reason why I know people know that I have these, right? One way or another, Netflix is looking for a story. And what an interesting story if I end up being somebody who's related to somebody, and I also have the PBS, the missing, nobody could find it, but I had it. Or who even knows what's actually on these tapes? I mean, I don't, but I will know. You know, and there's all kinds of little tidbits of, artificial intelligence, AI bait that keeps going out there that baits you to click on it, clickbait, right? Baits you to click on it, that if I did, right? So one of the things that came up is Miranda rights, right? And in my investigation of looking at this, one thing led to another, and Miranda rights with, what's his name? Eduardo Miranda, who raped somebody and got away with it because he had Miranda rights. Well, and there I am, seeing Miranda, my friend, for the very first time with, her baby Lawson, Miranda Law. What? I have been saying these coincidences out loud to all kinds of people, and I know that there is a human hand in this. You can feel the human hand in it where it really isn't miraculous, right? It's not miraculous that I have these tapes. Somebody at Wayne State wanted me to have these tapes, right? And there's, in the Department of Psychology, there's a lot of Jewish people there, and I'm not Jewish. Or maybe I am. I don't even know. I have curly dark hair. Maybe I am Jewish, right? And maybe I'm a descendant of what? A good Jew? I don't know. A bad Jew? I don't know. A good Jew set up to look like a bad Jew all these years by what? White supremacists? German white supremacists? I don't know. But I know this. I have got the spotlight on me. I know that. I can see it all over the place that I have got the spotlight on me. So much so that, 52nd District Court had a bunch of actors in the whole entire court. That's a pretty big spotlight. That is a pretty big spotlight for a pretty big experiment, right? Maybe a national experiment. A national experiment is what I think it is. Communism and liberty is what it is. It's what I've said in small doses, and now I'm exclaiming it. It's an experiment. It's across the United States, or at the very least, maybe it's just in Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, and Florida. And Florida's part of it too. I don't know. Maybe maybe that's where their universities are that in the know, and that those areas, right? University of Florida, University of Michigan, University of Pennsylvania, where Martin Seligman is from, right? And Ohio State University, pumping out those big men over and over and over again, pumping out those big men. And I don't know, what am I thinking about right now? Are they predominantly white, or are they predominantly black? Or are they 50-50? I don't know, because I don't watch sports, so I don't have any idea. And right now, I got hot in my hands tapes I need to be watching, and I need to be finding a library that has VHS tapes. And I am so anxious to see these that I am very close to cutting this spiritual class short. And I am. I could go on to what I was going to talk about, which is the broaden and build, but I am just chomping at the bit with the information that I found out the last time I met with you, just simply on this one study, that once again, as a psychologist, I should have known every bit of this. These people, these families were never debriefed. They were never told about, and you know, this was trauma. This was trauma they experienced, is what they experienced. And it likely was, they saw a video in a theater that they had to pay to see, and no mention of what that video is. No mention of that video. What was that video? You can't show a child, an 11-year-old boy, a video and not tell his parents. And those parents were never debriefed, which meant they never knew anything about this study or what happened to those boys. And then they were taught what? What were they taught? They were taught to keep it a secret. And was the University of Oklahoma going to say anything? No, because they were compromised. Was Rockefeller Center, Rockefeller whatever, going to say something about it? No, because they were compromised. And what did the big balls on Sherif say, which I didn't read? The experiment could not have been realized without the utmost dedication and concentrated efforts beyond the call of duty of my associates, whose names appear with mine on the title page. However, as the person responsible for the proposal prepared for the Rockefeller Foundation in 1951, and with final responsibility in the actual conduct of the experiment and material included in the report, I absolve them from any blame for omissions or commissions in this presentation. He wrote that in 1961. The original preface was in 1954, right? Why? Why not say that in 1954? Why say it in 1961? Because you already got the accolades. You already got away with it. You already ended up getting away with it. So any accolades would be on you, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? You don't even mention them. You don't even mention them. You say which names appear on the front of this book. Why? Because you were the dude. Why didn't you absolve them of responsibility earlier? Because you didn't know if you were going to get away with it. And you wanted them, University of Oklahoma. O.J. Harvey. What about this Jack White? What? White? B.J. White? B.J. White? You absolve B.J. White of any responsibility? How nice. Who's this O.J. Harvey? And why did Gina Perry in her article say that all of the graduate assistants who were the camp counselors were all American Indians. Why was that? Where is that? Where's that in here? Admittedly, you can see how much I didn't read. I'll see you at 145. 145, we are, I'm back to reading the next couple chapters in our new reading room book, Goosebumps. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for. It might come true. We'll see. We'll see, right? All of this, be careful what you wish for. It might come true. All of this mystery. I had to put back the Mummy book because that was giving me the creeps. All right, this is Dr. Annette Feravich, and we are in the spiritual classroom with a lot of spooky mysteries. And I'll be back here tomorrow, and I'll be reading more of that book. And hopefully, cross your fingers, I will have viewed some of those tapes to see what's really on those tapes. Why do I have a feeling that I have some original data right here in my lap? I don't know. Okay. I will see you. So tomorrow, and again, so I'm the teacher. This is the classroom. Thanks for joining me.